Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Acacia Clement and Andy Sterling. We were just discussing the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that? People don't realize the racing connection of the Thunder, do they?
No, I don't think a lot of people do, actually. There's a
People-
lot more sporting connections and racing connections, I think, than
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, obviously, with Vinny Viola owning the Florida Panthers.
Florida Panthers. Yep.
And I'm not a big hockey fan, so I was going to get
Last
the
year's
name
Stanley Cup
wrong.
winners.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, baseball owners that are that involved?
Jason Worth, well, former.
But he's not,
baseball,
but I mean
yeah.
an owner of a team.
Oh, owner of a team. Yeah, I don't know about
Not that much, but one of the owners of the Thunder is
Yep.
Everett Dobson, who's recently been named the incoming head of the Jockey Club, and Cheyenne Stables as well as being a lovely guy, and
Yes.
happy to root for him doing
best.
well. And I think he'll be a great addition running the Jockey, as far as being the chairman of the Jockey Club.
I know him personally, and so I'm certainly a little bit biased about that. But clearly, I think he's just such a classy individual that wants truly the best for the game and all of the
I agree.
people involved in it. And I have truly not met one person that's upset by him being named. in that
No, I
position,
mean, I know a
rightfully
bit from
so.
Saratoga, and I think I first met him actually at Clement's one night years ago.
Mm.
But I talked to him quite a bit, and we talked about the Graded Stakes Committee
Mm.
and different things and stuff. And he's a very bright guy and really does, I agree, is somebody that his concern is not for himself, but for what's best for the game. And so if you want a reason to root for the Thunder, there you go. I actually, when I met him first time, we were talking about the NBA. I didn't realize he did, and I was talking about it at the Thunder because Craig Mukowski, who some of you may know, is the makers of the Timeform US figs and a great guy as well, and sort of the unofficial clocker for horse racing as far as times of races. But Craig lives in Oklahoma City, and he
Oh,
sort of
okay.
got
I
me
did
involved.
not know that.
He's been a season ticket holder since they moved there
Yeah.
from Seattle, so he had got me to follow them. So I've been watching them for years and
Yeah.
years, actually, and turns out they're the best team in the NBA. Anyway, we've got 8 to talk about. We are fast. We are firm. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code Derby25, and we'll match them to $200 your initial deposit, and give you that free $25 bet for the Derby, which will be drawn a week from tomorrow during the opening night card at Churchill Downs. And I know Acacia and I can join together and say that we're really sorry that we won't be here on Saturday night covering that.
I will be.
Acacia loves those
ve-
harness cards till midnight.
I love the hardest racing. I do not like that it stays till midnight, and they are well aware of this. I said, "Can you just push it a little bit earlier? It's past my bedtime. I'm married to a racehorse trainer that gets up at 4:30."
That's the latest you're up.
Yeah.
That's the latest you're up all year.
That's
is
the
every
latest
time
I'm
you
up
do a
all
harness,
year.
do a
I know,
harness show.
I know.
agree. Anyhow, what else do we have? Eddie, Saturday contest, $300 buy-in. You'll have until post time tomorrow to sign up for that. It's Bank Frenzy. Expect to see him in the Westchester. So Fierceness is going to he's going to reroute and lose the Ali Sheba to Locked instead of running in our Westchester.
Yeah. Oh, it's a shame for us because it would be fun to see him here, but for
Probably a
anybody
shame
else,
for Fierceness,
it
but-
looks like maybe you can get a little bit of a wider open field now at this point. So
I
we'll
agree
see.
with that.
Yeah,
I agree. We have.
we'll still have fun with it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Horse racing, if you're not ready to roll with the punches in horse racing, then you better find some other game to get involved with. Late pick 5, a $2,500 hit and split, so opt in for that at Naira Bets. Play the late pick 5. We have a cross country. It's Eddie's favorite part of the day. 4, 5, 6 at Oaklawn, 6 and 7 at Aqueduct, and we are on 1 to 5 today.
Yes.
So 1 to 5. You and I are starting off together, right?
I host, then I report, then
Right.
I'm the analyst. So
Oh,
I'm just on forever. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Okay. Anyway, but I'll see you. We'll be on early.
Yes.
Race number 1, we'll take a look at La Bankara. In case you and I were just walking up with Aaron Yagoda, talking about this horse a little bit. She's been in great form, and I think the interesting thing about her is she doesn't need the lead to win either. She's been able to rate. She's going to have to work a trip out from the rail, but her form since Linda claimed her is astonishingly good, and she's held it throughout.
Yeah, she's been amazing, winning 4 in a row and all by open lengths, and she's consistently held it. And it's one of those horses, we see Linda do this, kind of when she gets them in good form, they tend to stay in good form. And this filly is no exception. She's the remaining part of the entry. She can send from the inside. Like you said, she doesn't need the lead. I didn't try to get cute and go against her, but maybe if there is some pressure on her up front, and then somebody can come running late.
Yeah, I'm committed to betting Majestic Return. I've always wanted to get a chance to find her in the right spot. Since her race back on April 18th, here last year when she ran this remarkable race, being on top of an absolutely supersonic pace
Yeah.
that ultimately collapsed, and she finished a very game third as the race was falling apart behind Acid
I wrote
Purchase.
that day, ran
Zero
best race with standing pace stool.
I mean,
yeah.
I think she did, and then they, for whatever reason, they put her on the turf in her next start. And then she comes back in 2 stake races up in Saratoga with contentious paces. And then last time she's coming off a layoff, and she just didn't really have much run. I'm hoping she can still run. I know that Lugbankera has speed. I'm just hoping this is one where Kendrick sort of throws caution to the wind and says, I've got to send her. The best race she ever ran was that day. She's been in some spots she couldn't win, and there's nobody else I'm that afraid of. Obviously,
No.
Lugbankera is a week the horse to beat. But I'll take my chance against all the others, and I'm not afraid to bet against one short-priced horse. So I've been waiting to play her in one of these spots, so we get it, and we'll see if it works out. Race number 2. I liked Global Charmer, who won't play. What I would say about this race is I don't like anybody in here.
No.
I scratch into calling an audible, who I'd like to think Louis Rivera is just going to put in the front end and try to wire the field. I have zero confidence she'll get a mile and an eighth. I have zero confidence
I don't
in her
know if
making her.
anybody in this field wants a mile and
Well,
an eighth.
I know David Aragona also likes the horse that you like.
I
just
saw that
don't
afterwards. So I have a
know what I'm
theory with
missing
this
here.
horse. I have a theory. So that last day, this horse was a little bit awkward out of the gate, got kind of squeezed back. The race was dominated up front, and I'd written down that not necessarily an inside speed track, but I did think that you kind of wanted to be forward and inside, which this horse was not. She also gets Lasix for the first time. I thought she was up against it that day. I just felt that she was going to be a price, and the way that she'd kind of run and the way she'd been handled and with her pedigree, I thought that she was going to be one that could handle the distance. Coming out of that race, I thought that, is it Ira? Is that how you say it? Chris Griffin corrects me every time. That horse was part of the pace, and I thought really
It's
with the
something
flow
else,
of the
I don't
race.
know. I don't bother with
And
those
so I
names you
really
can't
did not
pronounce.
trust her. So I wanted to take a shot with Stage Conflict, hoping that she gets a better flow of the race and give her just another chance at a big price. That's
Good
my
luck.
theory.
All right. Race number 3, going 6 furlongs. Village Person came out. We'll start with Naive Melody. I do love how Wesley Ward is sort of immune to having to actually name riders on horses, and he's allowed to. And I like Wesley, but I think that this is something that we've allowed him to do way too often. Name a rider that no
on the
leader
other side of the
and then,
country.
the last minute, the leading Eclipse Award winning jockey ends up on the horse. I don't like this horse.
Yeah.
I think there's other speed in this race. I'm not sure I'm thrilled with the maiden race, how indicative it was to have to domestic product.
Yep.
I remember because Wesley told me he bought this horse at the Derby last year because I was speaking to him, and he knew I was, with the domestic product connections, and he said, I bought his half sister, and we were talking about it. I didn't like the last race. I thought the track was very kind of speed, and this horse backed up, and like you, Naive Melody wins, and it is one of my favorite Talking Head songs, but not my favorite horse.
I know. I just felt that because of Wesley, she was just going to immediately get a little buzz. And look, even though she has speed, if you watch, especially that last race, she's not that quick out of the gate. She doesn't kind of get out sharp right away and move forward. I thought there could
Excuse
be
me.
some pace in here, and I was hoping that Vikinda would be one. Now, she's been a money burner, or he is, excuse me, has been a money burner. Wesley's is a filly,
Leslie's
the
a
others.
filly against the boys. Yes, that's why it confused you.
Yes, Vikinda was a horse that I thought could potentially come from off of it. I know that he's been a money burner, but I thought actually ran trying to close last time out, couldn't reach Super Swift, who was the best. Butta did come back to win, though regressing on speed figures a little bit, but thought he was going to be more of a price today versus what he has been and could potentially get a trip.
It will be a better price than he's been, and this is a race where I really don't think there's a complete throwout in this entire
Yeah, I
race.
agree.
I mean, I know the pace is hot. If I'm going to take a speed horse, it's going to be Kenny B, because I think that he's run the best races of anybody in this race. when he's
Definitely
run his
faced the
races.
best field last time.
Yeah, and I kind of want him. I think 3Bs is dangerous off the claim for Linda. I have a lot of respect for Horacio, but I thought 3Bs could be the kind of horse that Linda could do well with off the claim. I didn't pick that one on top. I thought about it. As far as give me my theme music. What is this based on?
That is his by game winner. So Deion Sanders always says, "Give me my theme music," Coach Prime.
Oh,
Yeah,
and what does Deion Sanders have to do with Game Winner?
just that he's a game winner.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, he was
Yeah.
a really great player.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I
athlete.
know.
You know, I'm going to say something because this horse is part owned by my racehorse. If you're going to insult me on Twitter, which a lot of people like to do, and I'm perfectly fine with it, try being right for a change. I got insulted by somebody who's in my racehorse yesterday, completely fabricating right after I had gone on the show, and you were on the
You
show.
know, I will call you out when you're out of
I
line.
gave a
don't think you were out of
full-fledged
line
defense
yesterday.
of-
Yeah.
We were talking about, my rowers betting their horses, and Greg was saying how, you know, if I owned horses, I wouldn't bet them because I get the purse. And I
Right.
said, I understand that. And it works both ways. I have no owners that bet. I
Yeah.
know owners that don't bet. And that's, I said, as far as my racers, first of all, we appreciate the betting. I said, their participation, it doesn't involve them making money in most cases. And I'm not, it is what it is. They know what they're getting into. And as I said on the show, if they're having a good time, which it appears that many people are that are involved with my racehorse, I
That's
know
what it's
people
all
I
about.
like that are involved in it. If they're having fun, I'm all for it. If people are having fun, that's great. And I said, I think one of the things they're doing in betting is they're not really benefiting. So if they bet them, they can make some money if the horse wins,
Yeah.
and they're supporting the horse. Hey, Robin, I gave this whole thing, and then I got
We
insulted
certainly
by some
appreciate-
clown on Twitter.
We certainly appreciate all of the My Racehorse owners that do get involved and bet and support, and we love the support of the game. Absolutely.
As long as people aren't being cheated, and I see no evidence they are, and as long as they know what they're getting into going in, which they seem to, I mean, they're having fun. So who am I to judge? And I don't appreciate it. Do whatever you want, but all you do is make my racehorse look bad when you go on Twitter and say something that's not only nasty, but also completely inaccurate. And believe me, I'll give you opportunities to give me a hard time for being out of line. This wasn't one of them. So I'm going to still bet on your horse today, but that's one person in my racehorse I won't be rooting for. But you still have the right to apologize, which hasn't been done since that tweet was made. Anyway, it is ridiculous that people think we're punching bags. They can act like that, but they can't be surprised when we react to their treating us like that. I like this horse's first race. And like you, talking about trying to find a horse that could close. I know it didn't work out at all last time. That race was too bad to be true.
Yeah.
And going to lead in that race made it kind of hard. I mean, that was a contested pace. Those were good horses. Now you can get back to rating. I like a cutback in distance, so I'm hoping it works out for this horse. And the horse will be a decent price.
And I know it's funny in the pedigree in that it's kind of, there's some sprint pedigree in there. There were 4 siblings that were good sprinters, including Goddard, who is a stakes winner. On the bottom side, though, too, the Dam is the sister to Summerly, who won the Kentucky Oaks. So there's pedigree to suggest.
Game winners is Router,
Game
too.
winner, of
Sure,
course.
of
I can
course.
certainly understand, but did win at 7 furlongs first time out, which is when he was then into the digital sale and purchased by My Racehorse and Donara Thoroughbreds. But it's interesting. I kind of wonder where his sweet spot is, and if he's able to get the kind of setup. I think he's almost built a little bit more like a 6 to 7 furlong type of horse. So I'll be curious to see what he's able to do in here. But I agree, he's better than what he showed last time.
And you know, the problem with pedigrees is sometimes it fools the best of trainers.
Yeah, of course.
Into thinking, well, this horse has better turf pedigree.
But being a New
they're
York
going
bred
long.
and going into a race like the Gander has pedigree for it, you can understand.
It was
you know,
5 to
taking
1.
a shot. Yeah.
5 to 1 in a pretty tough field.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were in the wrong spot.
Right.
It turned out they were in the wrong spot. But I think worse than running where you're supposed to be running is not taking the shot in
Right.
those spots. And you'd have to at some point find out what the limitation of your horses. There are certainly times that you're much better off running in a race and running 7th than not running in it at all, because you find out things about your horses. Interesting race, race
It
3.
is.
We'll see what happens. Race number 4, we'll break after race 4. This is a tricky race, and I think we probably had the similar notion of a sort of the lesser of the evils, because
Yes.
we'll look at Valenzen Day. I didn't love the fact that this horse was dropped back for 10,000. You know, he had been in cheap, he'd been claimed, he had run really huge races. Then he makes the next turn back to the bottom. And yes, he won for Linda Rice, but it was hardly the kind of performances we've seen from him. And if he wins, I'm going to lose.
I know that his only bad performance recently was when they tried to run him a mile and a quarter, and you really can't blame him on that.
No.
He's
been terrific.
He's been in amazing form.
But
But
there's
I
just something
agree.
going on there. There's
and
a
it's
story
interesting
there.
because Linda Rice has claimed him back not once, but a couple of times. She's had him a few times before.
And she's probably been
And-
in part of the claims that she didn't get the horse about
Right,
5 times.
exactly. I mean, she's active at the claim box, but he's won on the lead. He's won, with no real speed last time out. He just came from off of it in an odd performance. But the fact that she did drop him down for 10,000, and then, like I said, it was after a mile and a quarter try that he ran poorly. It wasn't just kind of, a give up, it seemed, last time out. So I don't know. I was a little suspicious. So I take a little bit of a shot with Empty Tomb. I think it's tough because
I don't think it's a shot. I mean, the horse is going to be one of the favorites.
Yes, he should be. I guess I should say a shot against Valenzen Day. But this is a horse with a ton of back class, and I'm sure it's tough on previous connections because he's now claimed away, and maybe now second off the layoff, we're going to see some of those better efforts come back.
I mean, he can't be trusted. He
Of course,
was dropping
yeah.
off a cliff. He didn't run well last time. I'm going to hope he can run better for Ilke. And I was either going to pick him or Ice Road. Now, we'll see. David has Ice Road 8-5 and Empty Tomb 5-2. My feeling would be I would pick the one that's the bigger price, and based on David's line, we have the one that's bigger price. What I'll say about Ice Road is I'm not going to, his last race in the slop, Linda claimed this horse for 10 in this race, and I've never particularly liked this horse. It's a miracle, in my opinion. He won 2 races in a row.
Oh, I agree.
But Linda entered this horse in a lot of ambitious spots. And even when she finally went back for a claiming tag, she didn't go in for 10, she went in for 15. And to me, the way she's entered this horse says that she thinks she made a decent claim. And when trainers like Linda Rice are aggressive with their horses, it's a good sign because she'll be aggressive in spotting them sort of, lower level races, finding races she can win. Whereas in the case with Ice Road, she's been kind of aggressive. I think he's dangerous, but at the shorter price, I'll take Empty Tomb. But I don't have a big preference. It's pouring at Keeneland.
I know.
They came in with horrible weather. They left with
Weather
horrible
delay.
weather.
I know.
Weather delay.
I know. It's tough.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, a couple running the Bewitched today.
Oh, who's running?
Yeah. Eternal Silence, who had a really wild trip at
Okay.
Tampa last time out. And You Know Nothing, who's a long shot.
You Know Nothing. It's named after me. All right, that's the first 4. We'll be back with the late pick 4 after a quick break.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
We're back. Keisha and Andy, race number 5, 3 scratches, and Linda, you have cover. Only one of them is yours, and you are running another horse in here.
Luckily.
Linda claimed the horse name for me. Solve the puzzle.
You're very good at solving the puzzles.
Well, it's
yeah.
Seth and I play puzzles. It's well, you get a little involved in Phrasal.
Yeah.
We love Phrasal. We'll take a look at Solve the Puzzle 2 races back. If she runs this race, she's going to win this race. There's really little doubt of that. She's a tough one to trust, though, isn't she?
She really is. I went back and forth because not only, I mean, look, Linda's had success claiming off of Chad Brown. It's, one of those few barns that I feel like you could kind of put a little bit of stock into claiming off this barn. But this is a race that perfectly looked like she was in control. She got run down. Last time out, she was part of the pace 3 wide. She never was able to save any ground that day, beaten as the heavy favorite. But claimed for 40, a little bit of a layoff since January. Now she drops down to the 20. I don't know. I mean, she certainly could, but
She's impossible to trust.
Yeah.
She's going to be a very short price in this race, and you're trying to beat her with a horse that I bet on last time. Why is Luminique going to run well today?
I have no idea. It was mainly looking through this field and just not really feeling strongly about anybody in here. She really broke out when drawn to the outside last time out in the small field, was kind of strung out, and she was grinding along. So I thought the turn back in distance was a bit intriguing for her. And this is the first time she's running this low when sprinting, which I've always kind of wanted from her. So
She's Andy off, so
Yep.
and she's not. She's my 5th choice in the 5-horse field, which is usually a good sign. I like Last Mango in here. I know this horse actually ran pretty well last time out.
yeah, I thought it was a deceptively decent
I
effort.
thought Eric just completely dropped the anchor coming out of the gate, which I hate when he does. And this horse was in a completely different
She looked
time zone.
comfortable and kind of like with her head up in the air as well.
And then she made a wide move on a day when you probably wanted to save ground. And I thought she was running a bit at the end. So I like her chances in this race as a second-time starter. And we'll see what happens with Last Mango. Race number 6. Race number 6, the last dirt race on today's card. This is a
very interesting race.
yeah. I don't have any confidence whatsoever in my selections. Why don't I let you talk about Chowser?
So Chowser debuted in January going 1 1/8 miles, which is a very interesting place to start. Not an easy place to begin. I know that he's the full brother to Warrant, who is a Grade 3 winner, Grade 1 place,
Going
second
long.
in the Santa Anita handicap. But he's also the half brother to Miss Locust Point, who's a very good dirt sprinter. So obviously I wasn't here this day. I didn't see him, but
Who's her
watching
sire?
him.
Let me just ask you, who's her sire?
Just write that down.
Okay, don't worry about
Yeah.
it. Sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
But no, now I'm curious. Now you started things. Look what you did. That's the beauty of an iPad, which is good. So Warrant is the full, which is by Constitution, and Miss Locust Point's dialed in.
Okay. Well, he's not
Yeah.
exactly a sprint sire,
Yeah.
so
But I thought never looked settled, a little bit green in the running there, but a little bit of late run. I just thought an intriguing move cutting back and just such a wild place to start going the 9 furlongs.
I had the same thoughts, which is why I picked the horse second. And this horse was one of those horses that just kept drawing me to him.
Yeah,
I
me
just kept
too.
sort of looking at him and thinking. And I was talking to David Aragona about it, and he's like, his feeling was, I think with that pedigree, the way he's probably a horse that wants to go longer.
Right.
Maybe they're sort of going back to the drawing board of the spot. I agree with you. I think he's an interesting horse to throw in. I don't love, we'll take a look at Gypsy Dreaming. This is running second, 2 races back on March 1st. But I will say, what chance? Dave and I had a difference of opinion on this. He thought the horse really just sort of conceded last time. I apologize when I'm paraphrasing badly, but I feel like when you're chasing a horse like 1/900 around, who's
Yeah.
an easy blowout winner, horses get discouraged and they often stop. And I don't think he's facing that kind of situation today. So I'm hopeful this is a horse that's run well in both these dirt starts, and maybe today he can get it done at 6.5 furlongs. I don't love his chances. My problem is I don't really like picking first-time starters. And I have no problem with Vow of Secrecy, and Vow of Secrecy is probably the one who's better moving forward. And I know he was running a lot at the end. Having said that, I thought he was also taking advantage of the fact that the race was kind of falling apart a little bit
get
behind the leader in there. So that's why I preferred the 5 to the 8. But I don't have a knock on the 8, and I don't know what to say about the firsters. You have Playing Trick second. I have the horse third. I believe, though, he was the workmate of the good one that won here on Saturday, right?
Right.
The firster.
Right.
The question
so
is,
we'll see.
what does that mean?
Well, it's hard because, in the summer when we have XBTV up in Saratoga, you can say it's the workmate and you can go and actually watch the work and have an
Right.
opinion. I don't have any opinion on being the workmate because I don't know, was he just there and he got totally run down by the workmate? Was he used as a lead for that
Right.
one? You never know how it
We've
plays
seen a
out.
lot of horses that were workmates
Yeah.
after the other one wins at a short price, kind of
And
suck
then
in their next
especially
starts.
with the
Yeah.
2-year-olds in Saratoga,
Yeah.
and everybody has the clocker report. Yeah,
It-
I think it's important to kind of look and see how they did it.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think I did ask Chad Brown about this horse, and he said the horse is pretty good. He wasn't sure he was going to win or not today. He just said that horse has some ability. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. But he didn't have like, oh, I love him or anything. Organite, I'm going to root for the 2 because Hessenite, the dam,
I
was one of
know.
my absolute favorite
But isn't
horses.
it so much more of a turf pedigree?
It is.
Yeah.
With Liam's Map, but there's turf from Liam's Map
Oh,
too.
yeah, for sure.
I wondered a little bit if David wanted to get the horse started and give the horse a race for running the turf. No, David's not afraid to run
No.
horses. But you could argue that the opposite could be true, which is
Maybe
kind
it's
of
a good
weird that the
sign.
horse is
Yeah.
running right in the dirt.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good sign.
Yeah.
And so, I we'll see. But I always like them. I don't know what to make of the Calumet tactical
I
for
know.
Brad Cox. I
I
mean,
know.
it's not exactly a lot of production on the dam side, but Complexity's been terrific as a sire.
He has, and the dam is the sister to Gone Astray. So there is some pedigree in there. And Complexity has been a very good sire and has had very precocious runners as well.
Is it him or it's him that though? He's been terrible on the turf. He's like 1 for 47 on the turf.
Yeah, Vacomas are good on the
Yeah,
turf.
Vacomas have been good on the turf, and he
Yes.
hasn't. So I was looking up
Yeah.
some of them. I thought Protected was interesting. We both
I
left the horse
agree.
out.
I
but
know. I kept
Kimmel
going
has
back to
horrible
him.
layoff
I know,
numbers.
I know,
Horrible
I know,
numbers.
I know.
6 to 12 months in dirt sprints. 0 for 18.
Yeah.
0 for 5 with maidens. He just doesn't have good numbers.
know.
These horses usually need a race. But I thought that horse was interesting, and obviously we
Yes.
saw Showcase come back and run very well, though he never ran again
know.
after winning the special. I
Yep,
think.
won
Yeah.
the Saratoga Special, and then it's not run back since then. But this horse does come back as a gelding. He was pretty green in the preliminaries, kind of in loading, and then he broke in really sharply at the start, and then obviously something went wrong. He was sidelined since then. I know. I thought he was intriguing as well for some natural progression, but just tough off the bench.
This is a tricky race.
It is.
This is a very, very tricky and interesting race. I actually
is.
like this race. I just
Me
don't.
too.
I don't love my opinion, but I like the race. Race number 7. Curious about something in race number 7, and you obviously were more optimistic than I was. What you do with Bosun? Because I
know.
don't. We're going to show the run in the stretch. I'm not so sure that this race wasn't a bit of an illusion.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. He had a pace stool to run
Right,
at.
but
He had
these
a
horses fall
perfect
apart in front.
setup, 100%. That being said, he did win impressively, and he's taken money in his first 2 starts as well when coming in here against New York.
Well,
by
Joe Sharp
companies.
gets bet.
I know that.
And for good reason, he wins a lot of races.
There
I'm
is
not.
a lot more pedigree for turf on the bottom side, though. It looked like he obviously enjoyed it. I know he had a perfect setup.
I love the Midshipman's.
I
Midshipman's Liddy's off the
stressed
radar
about
siders.
this race so much, and I guess maybe you could say I took the easy way out going to this horse, but he was the one that I felt kind of the strongest about as far as his turf form was concerned.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I feel like he's either incredibly the right horse or he's a trap at a bit of a short
Totally.
price. So I picked against him, but I'm not against him. Friend of the Devil. So Mark Holliday, who's the chairman of NYRA and his Blue Devil race stable, he owns one with Jerry Zero as well. Mark names a lot of horses after Grateful Dead songs, one of the many things I like about him. And he's looking for a double. I don't know if you know this, but Sugaree is also it's actually not a Dead song. It's actually a Jerry Garcia, Robert Hunter song when the Dead played some. Sugaree won at Keeneland the other day.
That's right.
It started out over in Europe.
Arno?
Is it Arno Delcourt?
Yeah, I think so.
Gabby picked it. And I know she was just picking it because she loves the Grateful Dead.
It was in honor of you.
She doesn't know, but she loves the Grateful Dead. First was impressive winning first time.
was.
When you win by that gap, I don't want to discount this horse. I know the figure didn't come up that high. I don't care. This horse could be okay. I
I
didn't pick
know.
him, but he could be okay.
I know. This is another horse that I just kept going back to as well. He was in control. He looked like he was the winner every step of the way in that race and the way that he dominated that field that day. And reading some quotes from Carlos Martin in the DRF coming in, he said he trains well in the morning. No idea why he just can't seem to stand up on dirt, but he loves the turf and finally getting to go back and do exactly that.
Isn't the pace scenario tricky for him?
Yes.
That's what
was
worried me a
worrying
bit
me.
with this
Yeah.
horse, that there's
Agreed.
a lot of speeds in here.
Agreed.
Now, I took a horse that could be a speed, though I don't see Katie as the kind of rider that gets involved in significant speed duels.
And
though
this
I
horse can come up from off of it.
thought
if
he
needed
ran
to.
well when second to Twisted Filigree. That's the race that A-Lister ran third, and they've
Yeah.
never run him back in a turf sprint. They might want to try that again. I thought this horse has some pretty good races and thought would be a decent price in here, get lost a little bit, and has the qualifications to be a winner. You have the number 12 second in here, who's another horse, a wild card, not for
Yes.
hire for getting back to sprinting where he did so well in his debut.
He is. And then tried going long, hustling to the lead in the Central Park and fading that day, but getting back to a sprint distance. Obviously was a bit concerned about the post. We did see Amelia Green win a sprint yesterday with a horse
That
from
horse-
the 12 hole who was very impressive.
Well, that horse got. You know, if
Got a great
if
chip.
he was related to Regime Mirage and we were still doing the race of the week, ride of the week, he could have gotten the ride of the week.
That's right.
We won't be doing that after, I think Romero won it every week. Just
Well, now he's got Romero and
coincidentally.
Christian to choose from.
Romero finished fourth once, and really clever ride getting fourth. We got Christian here too, right?
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to make fun of him
We
yet,
love the
but
Mirage
but I
family.
will. I agree. I think this horse is dangerous. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I mean, there's a lot of horses to talk about in here.
I know.
I think Lil Lang. I know Lil Lang's never finished first in the turf, and he seemed to tail off
I
a bit last
know.
year, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's a player in this race.
Agreed. Yeah, I think he's more of a turf sprinter. You could, if you go back in through a couple of the horses trying the turf for the first time, Attorney Wade has some pedigree.
This horse is very dangerous in here.
Very dangerous as far as the pedigree is concerned. The second dam was really good on turf in Europe. Mystic Melody, who
Big.
was a multiple group placed horse, and then Mo King even has turf pedigree for Dave Duggan as
Yep.
well. I
Yep.
mean, it's a really intriguing group.
I totally agree. The thing I don't love about Attorney Wade, and Dave's got him 8-1, he's going to get bet a little off a dirt
I
race.
know,
That's
I
what I
know.
hate. I'd almost
I know,
rather
his
that he
dirt
broke
race
his
was
maiden. He's had like
dominant.
2
Yeah.
bad races on the
Yeah.
dirt
You
since
wish
then.
the 2 races
Yeah.
of his dirt form were flip flop.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. This is a really, really fun
Mm-hmm.
race and an interesting race. That horse in the feature, Amelia Green has obviously not had that many opportunities. She's gone out on her own, but if you've been paying attention and you haven't been
done a
impressed
really
by the
good
job
job.
that she's been doing,
Yeah.
you're not paying attention as far as I'm concerned. Because she listen, she worked for Todd for a long time. You're not working for Todd unless you know what you're doing. He's a very smart man and a very great trainer, and he's not having assistants. Let's face it, all the best trainers are as good as their assistants.
Of course.
And
Have to be.
clearly, she's obviously very, very talented, and wish her luck. But she doesn't need any luck. She's obviously everybody needs
Yeah.
luck, but she's obviously very, very good. Big scratch in race number 8.
Yeah.
And I'll just show Vitalize, the horse finishing second to Charles J, going long back there. I don't love scratching into a horse like this. I'd prefer to find somebody else, but I was going to be chalking it anyway. I mean,
I felt strongly about Sir Oscar in here. I was so bummed he scratched.
yeah, I mean, he was going to be hard to beat. And listen, there are a lot of interesting horses, and we'll talk about some trying the turf for the first time. But this horse, I mean, I think this horse is pretty solid. This horse's 2
Absolutely.
turf routes were both okay. And I
Absolutely.
thought ran well here. I don't think ran badly in the amplitude races as well. So I think he's very dangerous in here.
Totally. This is a horse that I last saw in November, where I wrote down looks like a turf router, which is what he gets to do back today. I think he's just doing what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the horse to beat. Talk about Cold Case, the
Coach Case.
slumber. Coach Case,
Yes,
that's right.
I scratch into him, but I don't know who Coach Case is. I'll have to ask Saul. Usually, he likes
Maybe he's
to
one
name-
of Saul's. We can
Maybe.
text him right now.
Yeah, maybe
I'll text him.
cross coach or something. But anyway, this is a horse by Slumber, of course, who it's been kind of amazing what Saul was able to do with Slumber, and now
While standing in his backyard.
yeah, I know, and now in New York, and he's had some really good horses on the track as well. So certainly turf influence there. Dam was stakes place though, never won on the grass, but
Right.
he's worked beautifully. He's trained beautifully over the grass, and there's your workmate comment. But he has been in his last work. He was the lead for Carson's Run.
Oh.
He's coming back next week.
Do you run in the Fort Marcy?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Looking forward to seeing him
Yeah.
come back. He's a good horse.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny that it'll be going a little shorter. I think it'll be a mile and 1/8. It's a mile 16 or a
Yes.
mile and 1/8. I'm not sure which it is, but because people were worried about him going longer distances, and
know.
it turned out he
Well,
was just fine doing them.
With his pedigree, Tom Bellhouse always jokes he's our regally bred son of Cupid. You would not think that he wanted to go as
Good
far on
horses
the
come
turf
from
as he
anywhere,
did.
as Richie
Exactly.
says, and it's true.
Exactly.
I have the other Clement horse in there because the Dam's produced a couple of turf winners
Yeah,
at
it's a
a
nice
turf, so
pedigree
I
on
have
this
that
one.
one in. I thought Home Invasion's interesting for Chuck Lawrence. This horse has got a little bit of turf pedigree. I know it's a Mohayman, but this horse is actually a full to one that ran okay on the
Yeah,
turf.
agreed. Ran an 82 buyer on the grass, even
Yeah.
though it didn't win. That one was intriguing. I thought Testimonial was a little bit interesting. Coming back off the layoff for Ray Handel.
Plenty of turf pedigree in this one.
There's a ton of pedigree, and there's also pedigree to go a bit longer. I know that 'Tis the Laws, you kind of think early on they were kind of quick early sprinters, but on the bottom side, after Nico's Dream, who was more kind of a turf miler, and he was off the pace and just really looked like he never kind of got his feet underneath of him. Kind of struck me as a horse who would appreciate more ground.
All right. And Alan Turing's in here, so it gave me
I
an
know.
opportunity last time he ran to tell Jonathan who Alan Turing was.
Oh no!
Jonathan will be on Sunday. I look forward. I told. It's funny. I
Now
was.
this one has a huge turf pedigree
I
as well.
a ton of turf
Alan Turing.
pedigrees.
Yeah,
After
Maximova.
Yeah, but I think that the good horses were a little while ago. It seems like the
Yes.
Dams
Yes.
production
She's-
since then
she's up there.
hasn't been
Yeah.
very good. I was berating Jonathan off the air for a change.
I think you
I wasn't
texted
really
me
berating him.
about the Alan
No,
Turing
about
thing,
the
yeah.
Sting. Jonathan had never
Oh,
seen
yeah.
the Sting, and many of you have seen the Sting, and it's. I don't know that you could find a more enjoyable movie to see, and for anybody that likes gambling and betting the horses, the Sting was made for him. And I texted him, and he texted me later, and he said, coincidentally, my brother-in-law was abusing my wife for never having seen the Sting today as well. So I'm hoping they watched it over the last few days.
They
I
watched
remember,
it together.
well, I remember when Jason was here. Jason had never seen it, Blue at Night. I kept saying to Jason, "You don't understand how great this movie is. Like you don't like. I'm envious of you that you've never
can
seen
watch it
it."
for the first
And
time,
he
yeah.
finally watched it. He said, "Oh my God, it's just he loved it. I mean, it is. It might be one of the most entertaining movies ever made. Really is. And anyway, all right, it was a lot of fun.
As always.
Keisha and I will bring this act upstairs in just a few minutes. You need to head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code STURBY25 and we'll match the $200 your initial deposit, and give you a free $25 Derby bet. We have the contest. You have until post time tomorrow. Sign up, $300 contest. Play it only through Naira Bets. Get all the info at nairabets.com/contest. We have a $2,500 hit and split with a late pick 5. Opt in for that at Naira Bets. We have a cross-country pick 5, 3 at Oaklawn, 2 here because of race 4 at Oaklawn. Earlier because we're only on until 5 today. And last but not least, 1 to 5. FS2. For Keisha and I, thanks for watching. Chris Griffin's up next with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the New York Racing Association and live racing here at Aqueduct. Day Friday afternoon, 8 races on today's card. You see the horses for race number 1 headed towards the paddock. Track conditions this afternoon. The main track is fast. The turf is firm. 8 races on this Friday afternoon at Aqueduct, and here are today's scratches and changes. Race 1, started the early pick 5, scratch the 1A, Save Us Melania. Race 2, beginning of the early pick 4, scratch the 3, Global Charmer. The 5, 2 pounds overweight. Race 3, start of the pick 6, scratch the 2, Village Person. Rider change on the 5, make it Javier Castellano. Corrected weight will be 117. Race 4, start of the late pick 5 is clear, no changes. Race 5, beginning of the late pick 4, scratch the 3, Melancia. Scratch the 4, Custom. Scratch the 5, Goldian.